When I moved into the little white house on Lantern Hill, I was looking for peace. After a messy divorce and a job change that left me remote and isolated, I thought this quiet street, flanked by maple trees and the occasional jogger, would give me what I needed: silence. The moving truck pulled away as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my driveway. I was halfway through unpacking boxes when I noticed the house next door. It looked almost identical to mine, just a little more worn down. The lawn was slightly overgrown, curtains hung crooked in the windows, but what really caught my attention was the girl staring at me from the upstairs bedroom window. She couldn't have been more than 8. Pale skin, dark hair, and wide eyes that didn't blink. She didn't wave, she didn't smile, just stared. I offered a little wave, but she disappeared behind the curtain. That night I heard laughter, children's laughter. It was faint, like it was being carried on the wind, but I could tell it was coming from next door. I peeked through my blinds. The house was dark, no lights, no movement. Still, the giggles continued, playful and eerie. The next morning I decided to introduce myself. It was the neighborly thing to do. I walked over with a Tupperware of muffins, one of the few things I actually knew how to bake. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Just as I turned to leave, I heard the sound of footsteps behind the door. Then the knob turned. The door creaked open about 6 inches, and a man's face appeared. He looked to be in his mid-40s, with sunken eyes and thinning hair. His skin was pale, and there was something off about the way he smiled, like it didn't reach his eyes. "Yes?" he asked. "Hi, I'm Nora. I just moved in next door. Thought I'd bring something over." He stared at me for a moment too long before finally opening the door wider. I could see 2 kids behind him, a boy and the girl from the window. They stood completely still, staring at me with the same unblinking eyes. "Thanks," he said, taking the muffins. "We don't get many visitors. I'm Tom. These are my kids, Lily and Noah." The kids didn't speak. "Nice to meet you," I said, trying to keep my voice cheerful. "If you ever need anything, I'm right next door." He nodded and closed the door without another word. That night, the laughing returned. But this time it was louder, and I could hear whispering too. I pressed my ear to the wall that separated our houses. Voices. Children's voices. They were whispering my name. Nora. I stepped back, heart pounding. Was it a prank? Had the kids somehow figured out a way to scare me? I didn't sleep well. Over the next few days, I kept seeing the kids. They never played outside. But sometimes I'd catch them watching me from the windows, just standing there, completely still. Once, I thought I saw them standing in my backyard. But when I rushed out to confront them, they were gone. Then came the night I woke up to the sound of someone in my kitchen. I grabbed the baseball bat from under my bed and tiptoed downstairs. The light over the sink was flickering. The back door was wide open, swaying in the breeze. I was sure I had locked it. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. No answer. I turned on the main light. Everything looked normal. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, just a faint smell of mildew and something else, something metallic, like blood. I shut the door, locked it again, and checked every room in the house. Empty. But when I came back to the kitchen, something was sitting on my table. A muffin. One of the ones I had given Tom. Half-eaten, moldy, crumbling at the edges. I nearly dropped the bat. The next day, I went back to the neighbor's house. I needed answers. I knocked, waited, then knocked again. Nothing. I tried the door. It opened with a groan. The house was silent, cold. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. I stepped inside. The living room was coated in a thin layer of dust, furniture covered in white sheets, cobwebs in the corners. It looked abandoned, but it couldn't be. I had just seen them, talked to them. I climbed the stairs, every step creaking beneath my feet. At the end of the hall was the bedroom where I had seen the girl. I pushed the door open. The room was a child's, pink walls, stuffed animals, a tiny bed, but everything was old, faded. The toys were covered in dust. A layer of grime coated the windows, and in the corner was a photograph. I picked it up. It was Tom and the two kids. But the photo was dated October 2005. That didn't make sense. I stumbled back down the stairs and nearly collided with a woman standing in the doorway. She looked shocked to see me. "Who are you?" she asked. "I live next door," I stammered. I thought someone lived here." Her face softened a little. "This house has been empty for years." No, that can't be. I talked to them just a few days ago." She frowned. "That family. Tom and his kids. They died from a gas leak. That was 15 years ago. I couldn't breathe. You must be mistaken," I said, but my voice was barely a whisper. "I'm not. My sister was their neighbor. She moved out after it happened. Said she could still hear the kids playing." I left without another word. That night, the whispers came again. Louder, more persistent. "Nora, come play." I buried my head under the covers, but the temperature in the room dropped. I could see my breath. My phone buzzed. A notification, a photo. It had been taken from my phone, but I hadn't touched it. In the image, I was asleep in bed, and standing over me were Lily and Noah, smiling. I screamed and threw the phone across the room. The lights flickered and went out. I ran to the breaker. Everything was fine. No blown fuses, no power outages on the street. But when I came back upstairs, something was scrawled across my mirror in red crayon. "Play with us." I called a local historian the next day, told him I was writing a piece on the neighborhood. He told me the story. Tom had lost his wife to cancer. He'd become reclusive, paranoid. One night, the house filled with gas. Some say it was an accident. Others say it wasn't. Either way, they were found days later. The kids died in their sleep. Tom was found in the hallway. No one ever bought the place. Too much bad energy. He told me one more thing. They say the kids are still looking for someone to play with, someone new. I didn't want to be that someone. I tried everything, salt lines, prayers. I even brought in a priest. But it only made things worse. The night after the blessing, I woke up to find my closet door open. Inside, every single item of clothing had been shredded. My walls were covered in childlike drawings, stick figures of me, surrounded by other figures, all with X's for eyes. Then I found the note. It was on my pillow. "You moved in. You're ours now." I tried to leave, packed my bags and got in the car. But the engine wouldn't start. Then I saw them in the rearview mirror, the whole family, standing in the middle of the street, watching. I screamed and ran back inside, locking every door and window. They're in the walls now. I hear them during the day, scratching, whispering. Sometimes I wake up to find toys placed carefully at the foot of my bed. Sometimes I hear them giggling under my floorboards. I don't think I'm going to make it out of here. I write this now in case someone else finds this house appealing. In case someone else gets tricked by the charm of Lantern Hill. Don't trust the silence. Don't trust the kids. And for the love of God, don't give them muffins. Because once you do, they think you're family. And family never leaves.